But yeah, so my CEO mentioned that my first 50K was in a couple weeks. And first he was like, have you been training? I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, you're going to kill it. I was like, okay, cool. David Goggins says I'm going to kill it. And he has no idea who I am. So I'm going to go kill it. But he said, what are you doing for your nutrition? And I said, probably not enough.
All right. Huge welcome to the Ultra Running Guys family. We got Jeremy Reynolds, Jeff Winchester, the Ultra Running Guys, and we are here with Steve Epifano for week 3. We've been talking to Steve for the last 2 weeks, and week 1 was a really important one. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. He introduced us to Robin Ames, and that's really what this thing is all about. Robin was killed while riding his bike, and so Steve is dedicating a 100K run as a way to help out the family. So go check that out. Last week we talked training, and this week we're super excited to be talking with Steve about his nutrition, because nutrition can be tough, as we know, and it's very individual. So we're excited to get your feedback on it. Steve, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah. Thanks again for having me back.
No worries, man. We're super excited. So I think the way Jeff put it is experience can be the best teacher. And we talked a little bit offline last week. When we talked nutrition, you've run a few races in the past, and it sounds like you've probably learned a few good lessons along the way. So before we kind of get into what you're doing now, tell us what you've done in the past, what you've tried out, how that worked out, or maybe how it didn't work out for you, because we'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I usually do all of my runs fasted, typically because I run in the morning and stuff like that. And I attempted to do that a couple times with, half marathons and marathons, and even, one of my 50Ks. You can kind of gut it out with a half marathon, but I've learned over my 2 marathons that if you don't fuel in it, you're going to be dead by the end of it. And you certainly can't not fuel in a 50K. So my first 50K was, I was cruising along pretty well, but all I packed were Honey Stinger Honey Stinger chews. And I had calculated in my head how many calories I thought I would need. And I did not take in nearly as much. I think I probably took in maybe, 200 maybe the calories the entire race, and you're burning for 50K, like something like 3,000 calories or something like that.
So
more than that.
Yeah, probably more than that. And so just let me clarify real quick, because I do a lot of running fasted as well. When you say you did a 50K fasted, you mean you started fasted, and it sounds like you were doing some fueling along the way. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started fasted, and I probably kept that going for the first 10 miles until I was like, oh yeah, you got to eat something, you idiot.
So I'm curious, how'd that work out for you?
I was cruising pretty well until about mile 20. And then it was like, oh no, I don't know what's happening. The cramping started and everything like that. And then that time it's too late. Even if you take in a couple more chews or something like that, it's just going to sit in your stomach and you have nothing there. You can't do anything with it. So I just gutted out the last, 12 miles or so.
Wow. Yeah, I bonked in one of my marathons as well. It was not a good day. So since that point, how has your nutrition evolved?
So, I mean, I really have started to learn how to take in nutrition during my runs. I practice those on a couple of the longer runs that I do. Because you don't want to change things up the day of the race. So you want to always kind of incorporate that into your training. So my longer runs, I've moved over to Tailwind. I had the fortunate experience of meeting David Goggins at one of my company events, which was crazy. He just talked to us for like 2 hours. It was incredible.
So hey, you got to stop. So if you say Goggins in any kind of podcast, any kind of conversation with people who run, everybody really wants to know, what's he like? Yeah. Is he super? Like, we'll get to your nutrition and hydration. We're now going to talk about Goggins. What's he like?
I don't know if have you read his book
Yes.
at all?
Yes.
Yeah. So how he talks in the book is how he talks to whoever is in the room. If your grandmother or mother is going to be in the room, he's exactly like he is in the book. He's a little intimidating, but not, right? So he's approachable. He doesn't want to be the like celeb. He wants to talk to you, all that kind of stuff. But he'll be challenged too, and he'll accept the challenge. If you say, "Hey, I can out push up you," and he's in a suit and tie, he'll just throw down and start doing push-ups and everything like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
How does Goggins and Tailwind go together? Was that a one-on-one conversation?
So it was kind of like a 2-hour kind of round robin, or like a town hall. He was kind of in the middle of everybody, and everybody's just kind of throwing questions at him, motivation wise and everything like that. I was more to kind of bring everybody together and kind of motivate for 2020. Fortunately, it was right before all of COVID and everything hit. So if we didn't do it then, we probably wouldn't have met him, which kind of would have been unfortunate. But yeah, so my CEO mentioned that my first 50K was in a couple weeks. And first he was like, "Have you been training?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, you're going to kill it." I was like, "Okay, cool. David Goggins says I'm going to kill it, and he has no idea who I am. So I'm going to go kill it." But he said, "What are you doing for your nutrition?" And I said, "Probably not enough." I said, "I'm just hydrating and choose." And he said, "Use Tailwind." He's like, "That's the only thing I use. Use it. It'll be a lifesaver." So my 50K was in a couple weeks, and I didn't want to switch anything up too late in the training in case it threw a curveball, stomach issues or anything like that. So I put that off until the next one. I kind of wish I didn't because it's helped out a lot, that's for sure. I'm not a paid sponsor for Tailwind or anything like that. I'm just a user for now anyway.
Yeah, Steve. Hey, man, we're working on it for you right now. We're working on it for you.
So before we kind of jump ahead, because I'm going to want to talk about this, right? So the fasting running, do you still run fasted? What are the benefits you've seen of that aside from trying to do a 50K, with nothing in your, in your stomach? Because like I said, most of my running is fasted as well, and I've seen some big benefits. I'm interested in your perspective.
So yeah, all my runs are in the morning. So I really don't I like to run on an empty stomach. I don't think I've ever done any run not fasted. So I wouldn't be able to say the positives of eating something before I ran. It's just kind of what works for me. So I don't know anything different. And I mean, it's even like I'll cut off my intake probably at like 8 or 9 the night before, just because I don't want anything, not for my practice runs, but for like one of my marathons, or not now 50Ks, but I don't want any stomach issues to come up. And that's like my huge fear during either a marathon or a 50K, is to just have incredible stomach issues.
So we're going to kind of segue to that because, stomach issues is like one of the number one things that can derail an ultra runner in a lot of different ways in the races and everything. And so I guess my first question on that is that, I guess for clarification point, are you currently fasting even for your practice runs in preparation for your 100K now?
Yeah.
You are.
Yep.
So is that going to be your plan for that same morning?
So I'll probably eat something. I'm going to try to get to bed early that night because I want to hit the road really early. I'll probably eat something kind of carb heavy, like right before I go to bed. Mm-hmm. And then get up and maybe hit an energy gel and then just kind of go off and see what happens. And then Tailwind for pretty much the whole part.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the things we really wanted to talk about is kind of getting into the specifics of the strategy. So you talked about that kind of jumping off, it sounds like, with the gel, Tailwind. Talk us through a little bit of the course, if you have 8 sessions. So for our community, everybody watching, and confirm this, Steve, right? This is completely self-supported. I know you probably have some family help, I assume, but this is not a race that's being held where there's going to be manned aid stations. You're doing all this yourself, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to do this all myself. I have a couple running buddies who kind of on the route that I go, they said, "I'm not going to run with you, but I'll leave you a bottle of water out or whatever. You can grab it on the way by," that kind of thing. I said, "Cool, thanks." But yeah, so I'll do the first 50K, like I said, fully self-supported, and I'll meet my family kind of like at the halfway mark. So it's an out and back for the 50K. And then I'll probably stop there and fuel up on pancakes and a couple things that way, maybe waffles, and then just do an out and back 10-mile loop for the next 30 miles.
So in your pack, you're going to be using Tailwind with that.
Yeah, it'll be in the flask in the back. It's like a 1.6 liter, and then two 20-ounce soft flasks in the front.
Are you going to be carrying, are any of those going to be water, or are they all going to be calories?
They're all going to be calories.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that I did a fully self-supported 50K on, I say self-supported, but my father was pacing me on his bike. And I'll thank him forever for that because he spent, 5 hours on a bike seat just running back and forth and getting me tailwind and everything like that. And my mom even showed up for, probably 3/4 of the run. So we were chatting for about the first 3/4, and then that last quarter, I just told everybody to kind of just shut up. But yeah, so I just did strictly, I didn't have any gels or anything like that. It was strictly tailwind for the whole 50K there. So, but this time around, I'm going to go for that, at least for the first 50K, support with a couple more gels along with the tailwind.
So I got to be honest, I'm sitting here baffled because I look at the ultras that I do. I am a full-on eater. Like really? I eat, oh my God, I eat from the moment I get up for my long runs. And so I'm probably the complete opposite when it comes to calorie loading. And I do not run fasted. I can barely spell the word. And so I don't do anything like that because I wake up in the morning and eat a lot of food, like carbs and stuff, before I actually do my run. And then on the long runs I take, I'm eating the entire time. And so I know that like Jeremy, he doesn't do a lot of food in his either. But yeah, when I'm running my distances, but again, there's a big difference between myself and you, and even him, is that I'm super slow. And so I'm going to be out there for a lot longer, and I've got a lot more fueling than I need to do. And so I typically practice eating real foods and stuff. So I think it's very impressive that you've done your 50K with just tailwind before. And I think it speaks volumes to even how you've trained to be able to do that. So I think it's a really cool thing for you.
Thank you.
So I've kind of got two follow-up questions with that. One, have you practiced eating pancakes during? I'm interested in that. And then two, have you practiced running with, because if I'm doing my math right, I think a gallon is about 3.7 liters. So you're talking about a gallon of fluid that you're running with in terms of weight. Have you practiced with that, or is this going to kind of be the first time going out completely full like that?
So I've practiced running with that. That was my last long run, was the 22-mile run. I had a full setup on me and everything like that. I'm even toying with bringing like another belt that has a couple other flasks just with water on it. But yeah, we'll see. That'll be like a game time decision. But yeah, I've practiced that. I haven't practiced eating on the way, so that's going to be on the fly. I'll probably grab a couple pancakes and just do a couple like walk while I eat it, and then go from there and see what happens. But on my route, I've strategically placed and memorized every bathroom possible from here on the 15-mile out and then the 10-mile out and back. So
smart man, because if there's anything that's going to derail a race, it's not having a bathroom close.
Yeah. And there's no woods. It's all open beach. So that would I would be arrested. So.
Well, I'm super excited to hear how that all goes. Cause like I mentioned, I do most of my training runs fasted, but when it comes to races and stuff, I'm more similar. I kind of fuel up the night before, fuel up the day of, just trying to get glycogen stores full and all that, cause I know I'll be using it. And then I eat pretty steadily. I'm similar to you in terms of using a lot of, fluids for calories, and then I'll kind of, eat some of my go-tos along the way. But yeah, man, I'm excited to kind of hear how all that plays out, because it sounds like you put some thought into it, obviously. That's a lot to carry.
Yeah. I could be wrong on my math. I'm trying to figure out too, what's that? 40 ounces plus 1.6 liters. So whatever that comes out to be.
Yeah. I can't do that.
I'll Google that.
I can't do that. Yeah.
Either way, so
It's a lot.
I've seen your vest. We've actually got the same vest. I've run in it when I've run in it full, so I know that it's heavy. I don't know if it's quite a gallon, but you're gonna feel it.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what it feels like.
With the tailwind that you're going to put in your pack and everything, does that come out to a certain number of calories per hour that it's going to play into that you're looking at? Like, are you going to consume a certain amount of hydration mixed with tailwind?
Yeah. So I try to finish 20 ounces an hour. And then for every 24 ounces, it's 3 scoops of tailwind, which is about 300 calories. So I'll be taking in 300 calories an hour, and then I'll supplement probably like maybe every 2 hours with a gel or 2, like while I'm running, that kind of thing. And the gels are, I believe, 100 calories.
I don't know how long it's going to take you to do the first 50K because we haven't really asked that question, but do you have a rough idea what you're looking at for that?
So I have no idea. I'm going to go out really slow, at least for the first probably out, and then see where I'm at the like 16-mile mark, and then see if I could pick up the pace. Like, I have no preconceived notions of how fast I'm going to do this. My 50Ks, my first 50K was a little bit over 5 hours, and my second 50K was like 4:45. And then that one I was like completely dead at the end. So I don't want to be anywhere near that. So I'm probably like, my goal is to go out at like 11 to 10.
Yeah, that's great.
Minute a mile. So
yeah, because I'm definitely not trying to get you to lock into a time so much, because that's the worst kind of pressure you can have.
Yeah.
I think you're very, very smart to go out slow. I think that's very wise. The only reason I even asked that question is because you said at the first part of this that your 50K, the first 50K, was going to be all self-supported, that you weren't planning on meeting back up to anybody at that point. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, you're going to be out there for 4, 5, 6 hours. Do you have enough in your gallon of water behind you to get you to that point? And so that's kind of where I was going in the question, because I definitely don't want you to feel pressure to have a certain time. I think really, really smart not to do that to yourself. And so that's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah. And then, like I said, I will bring gels and some chews to make sure that I have that with me. And then I'll refill the soft flask, so I'll at least have hydration on the way back too. And then I may, who knows, I may make sure I have my debit card with me and stop at a 7-Eleven or something and look like a crazy person.
Don't pause the watch.
Yeah, don't pause the watch. It still counts. It
still counts. Yeah, that's what I'm going to keep it going the whole time.
So I do not run with Tailwind, so I don't know. Does Tailwind have electrolytes or like hydration management in it, or is that something you're looking at separate?
Yeah, so it has hydration, and it also provides the calories. And it is, I have to take a look at it, but I believe it's vegan, and it's gluten-free and everything like that. I have they have the naked formula, which really just doesn't taste like anything. And the one I'm using has berry, which it really doesn't leave that much of an aftertaste. Some of them are pretty nasty as you get down to, like, after you're drinking the same thing for 6 hours, you're like, oh man, this is not good. It's been pretty good for me so far. But I will try to supplement with some water at the halfway mark, just to make sure I have that under control. And then I'll have my wife bring me maybe some like Gatorade or something like that, so I can get a couple more electrolytes in me on the way back.
But you're not planning on using specific salt tabs or anything like that?
Nah, just because I haven't used them yet, so I don't want to change anything up in the middle of it. And I figure this is a good time to kind of learn what not to do. If I bomb, I'll be out there till midnight, and I'm going to finish it. But if it doesn't work out, I'll use it to reassess and see what happens, and see what I did wrong and what I can do better in the future.
I mean, I think it's great. It's exciting. It's funny because we did talk to some of the other people in what we call the URG family, and you're not the only one who uses Tailwind. We actually asked some of our people, like, what are their go-to types of foods and stuff. And one of the guys who follows us and is a part of this with us is, I think his Instagram handle is Running High.
Yep, at Running High.
Yeah,
HI.
And so he's a big Tailwind fan as well. So that was one. And then I think there was M. Marie, and she uses UCAN.
Yeah, and so going through this, obviously you've used Tailwind. Have you run with Tailwind?
I have run with Tailwind. I'm not a fan.
And what? and what's the reason you're not a fan?
Tailwind gives me gut bomb, and so it makes me feel super heavy. And so I can tolerate it in the beginning, but since I'm out there for so long and I'm eating all kind of foods, then I tend to struggle with the sweet taste of it. And so I haven't tried the Naked formula, which was one of their newer formulas and stuff. And so I moved over to Martin's as one of my primary things, and also this thing called CIS, hydration. But so for me, for Tailwind, I was dealing with too much sugar in it.
Yeah, and I think it's similar. So I really, really want to love Tailwind because I hear so many good things about it.
Goggins likes it.
I mean, dude, I should probably be shot for not liking Tailwind.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. We're going to go back to it.
But I've tried it twice, and I think it's probably because I tend to do very low sugar. And same thing, it's just normally my stomach's okay. But it didn't treat me great. But we do have some other things, so we'll kind of go through these. Steve, I'm interested to hear if you've ever had experience with any of these before. So UCAN, is that something you've ever tried?
No.
Are you familiar with it?
Actually, no.
Okay.
You have?
Yes. So I'm a huge fan of UCAN. It's a super starch. Bottom line is it's really slow burning carbs. It's like not sugar at all. That being said, it's great pre-race. It's very chalky when you mix it. And so I have not figured out a way to effectively carry it with me. All right. So what else do we have on the list?
Food-wise, before we tell you what some of these other people had for their food go-to, you said you're going to carry gels also, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of gels do you carry?
Honey stinger gel and chews.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I use them because they're organic, and the taste of that has been pretty good for both the gels and the chews. I started out with the chews and then moved towards the gels just because they're easier and quicker. During my first marathon in Philadelphia, I was just drinking all kinds of water, and somebody handed me a goo gel, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I didn't realize how gel consistency it was. So I squirted it, I put it all in my mouth, and I just was like, oh, this was a mistake because I can't breathe now. So I had to quick grab water and get it all rinsed out and then just move along my way. I was like, halfway through your race, you probably don't want to start trying something new.
I mean, that's the best time if you ask me. Well, it's the best time to watch you try something new, probably. But.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, that's not good.
I was just going to say that I use CIS gels myself. They're more of a liquid-based thing because I used to use goo as well, and it's too thick when you take it in, and it's just too much to try to get down. Like you're trying to chase it with your water and everything else. And so there's this other product. It's called CIS, which stands for Science and Sport, and it is a larger gel pack, and it is all water-based, and it literally goes down as if you're drinking any kind of energy shot, and I really like it a lot. But that's what I use in the beginning of my race. I actually moved to real food after that, personally. I know that one of the other folks who kind of commented on us, Cliff Pittman, he is actually my coach as well. He uses Spring Energy gels. It's also very natural. He's a huge fan of that.
Have you tried Spring Energy, Steve?
No. I've tried. The only other one I tried was Scratch Labs.
I've also heard good things about Scratch Labs. That's something I've got like this list going because right now, honestly, I've got some of the biggest races coming up, and I have no clue what I'm going to do for nutrition. Really, I'm looking to switch. So, do you use caffeine during your runs?
No, I try to stay away from caffeine. I'm usually like a 1 or 2 cup of coffee, but with my condition, I try to not take in like energy drinks or anything like that because I can't. That'll elevate my heart rate during the race and everything like that.
That makes sense. And for anybody that's tuning in this week, go back to last week because we talk about Steve. Steve's got a very unique heart, so it's very important for him to watch that heart rate. So that comment makes a lot of sense.
As we're sitting here drinking coffee.
Coffee. I mean, it's only 9 o'clock. Ever.
That's not good. It's not good. One other person did comment on some of the food items that their go-to, and it's this guy. His Instagram name is Only Live Once, 80, I believe. And his thing is honey stinger as well, but I think he uses the waffles. And he also uses some non-hydration, but honey stinger waffles is his primary thing that he mentioned at least. And so have you ever tried any honey stinger, like the waffles? I know you said you do the goos and gels. Have you tried their waffles?
I've tried their waffles as like a recovery or like right after, but I haven't done that like in the middle of a run or anything like that. Anything like I try to always keep moving. So it's going to be interesting eating pancakes as I'm running. So even with the waffles, like I don't know how I would eat it while I'm still kind of on the move, that kind of thing. That's the one thing I need to learn.
I'm going to just do mine because to me, listen, the reason, and I try all the time to get GoGo to sponsor me because you're trying to get Tailwind.
GoGo Squeeze, if you're watching.
Listen, honestly, Steve, and I'm just joking about the whole sponsor thing, seriously. But you're not, right. I use one on the run because it's just like a goo. And it's real food. And so these types of things, there's another guy that's a friend of ours. He's part of URG as well. His name's Tim Hamilton. He uses baby food. He and I had commented about it not too long ago. He actually takes little baby food pouches and just pops them open. And that's what he's done in the past, but it didn't work so well his last race, I think he said. But these types of things, these really just watered down food items are things that really just you can suck down quick on the run and without any issues. I also eat raisin bread.
Raisin bread?
Raisin bread. Slices of raisin bread.
During the race?
While I'm running, I can eat bread. And I eat sandwiches. So do you.
Yep. So speaking of, that's my go-to right there.
Okay.
The Uncrustable peanut butter and jelly. And so since it's your first time running 100K, I'm going to put your mind at ease. You will be okay to walk and eat.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay, good.
So I've seen your runs. Honestly, you are an impressive runner. I think you're going to do well, but I think there's going to be plenty of times that, where if you do a walk run strategy, my guess is doing those waffles, you'll be able to or the pancakes, you'll be able to move just fine. And that's the kind of thing that I do if I'm walking out of an aid station or something like that. Obviously, peanut butter and jelly. It's never a good idea to try to run fast and eat peanut butter.
Yeah, no. It would be like eating a goo for the first time.
I'm actually impressed with the idea of pancakes. When you mentioned that, I thought to myself, I could tolerate pancakes. I think pancakes are a really good idea. And those will sit. Like you can cook those a day before and just I carry everything in a Ziploc bag and throw them in my pockets. And so for me, I would just pack some, like I do my bread. It'd just be great.
Yeah, my wife has a little muffin tin that she makes like pancake muffins with. So I'll try to grab like 5 or 6 of those and wave and say goodbye and see what happens.
Yeah, I do want to talk one more time about the stomach issues a little bit. We touched on it earlier about the risk of stomach issues, and I did mention it earlier that the primary thing that can derail most people in any ultra run, regardless if it's a 50K or even a marathons all the way up, is stomach issues and how we deal with them. So I know you've got a plan for how you're going to deal with Tailwind. You're going to use your pancakes. You're going to have all these different things, food items and stuff. What is your plan if you get to the point that you can't eat another pancake or you can't take any more of the Tailwind and you get to yourself, your stomach is just shutting down and you're feeling nauseous and everything? Like, do you have a strategy for how you'll handle that?
Actually not. I didn't even think about it until you started talking to me about it. So
that's okay.
I better put a strategy in place for that then.
You 100% need a strategy for that. And that's why we consider this all family. And this isn't just necessarily, it's something we can learn from one another. And so to be perfectly fair, one of the things that you can read, I don't know if you've heard of Jason Koop before or not. He's got a book called, I think it's Essentials for Trail Runners. It is a great book. And one of the things he mentions in that book is that if you start developing a stomach issue, you can do one of 2 things. And it is to slow down and cool off. And the reason being is because you want to kind of bring your heart rate down. And the fastest way of doing that is to slow down your movement and obviously cool off your body, because you're, being in Southern California, I'm not sure I'm sure the weather's gonna be beautiful, but if it's a little warm, then you're gonna be dealing with elevated temperatures, body temperature as well. And so understanding that as soon as you get nauseous or something like that, the first thing you should do is to slow down and cool off. And again, this isn't something I am just speaking as an expert. It's something I've read from Jason Koop, who is a big wig when it comes to trail running and coaching and stuff like that. And so I would highly encourage that as being a strategy. So not to panic, right? Because a lot of us panic. I have DNF because of stomach issues because I've panicked, right? don't panic on the stomach issue, but literally know this is going to be your plan if you get it. And that's what you can do. And I've actually done that in one of my more recent races, and it worked. It's to just slow down and just not worry about time, not worry about anything, and just bring it all down. So,
yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely employ that. That'll be in the back of my head, not to panic as I go. Sometimes you do have to panic though, because it gets a little close.
Well, and that's something that we'll be talking about next week, is kind of some of the mindset and how you'll deal with it mentally. You know, I think we all know that there's going to be challenges physically, and the nutrition piece is going to play a big part of that. And I would recommend taking the advice from this guy, because you went 15 miles at Yeti with essentially driving the whole way.
It was great.
It's great.
But I did DNF, so it really didn't work. So no.
but that was also reading the Jason Koop advice and really understanding that, hey, this is a problem that is solvable, because when you don't have the information, then you don't necessarily know what to do. So,
but I think that's the key, I think, because in that moment, you don't think it's solvable. Like you really don't think there's a way out in that moment. And that's what most people will kind of get in their head. And it's even what Goggins says in his book, right? Is that you got to know that at this point, this too will come to an end. And so if you can kind of see the end in mind, you'll get there. But when you're stuck in the dirt, sometimes either with your stomach, your brain, or whatever it is, you feel like there's no way out. The pain's not going to end. You're never going to eat. Your stomach's never going to get better. But it does come to an end. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, you have to fight that fight or flight,
Mm-hmm.
that 2-second fight or flight give up mechanism. So yeah, I appreciate that.
I think we'll kind of go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you for talking with us and the Ultra Running Guys community. For everybody who is listening and or watching, make sure that you get to the YouTube channel, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Next week, we're going to be talking mindset, and then that'll be right before the race. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of pre-race nerves and kind of the thoughts going through your head. So I'm really interested, because we've both been there, obviously, to kind of pick your brain about what you're thinking at that point.
And do everything we can not to put doubts in your brain.
Yeah. So sorry, I just forget everything. Forget everything we said tonight.
I was feeling confident until about 5 minutes ago.
We are helpful. We are helpful.
Yeah.
This is good. This is good.
No, but seriously, man, thank you so much for your time tonight. We really are looking forward to talking to you next week, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me back.
We're done.
Cut. I can't seem to pull it together.
Sure, somebody will watch it and be like, man, that guy has no idea what he's in for.
Until it transitions back to us, and they'll be like, actually, he's okay. It's those two clowns.
Hey, what's on your wall behind you? Sorry.
You know what part of my problem is? And I can cut all this out.
Fully expecting this to be a train wreck.
Yeah.
That's all right. Sometimes that's the best.
How weird would it be if I said, can I have your phone number?
Not weird at all. Jeremy has it. So
Oh, you have his phone number? Because
Yeah.
I said we can call him.
I won't share it, though.
Yes, because you're rude.
Made it weird.
It's been weird.
Just made it weird.
It's still recording, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
yeah, it's really weird.
I mean, it'd be really cool if like your kids or your wife pops in the back. That'd be awesome.
I already yelled at him and locked the door and told him to stay out.
That's going in the video.
I keep forgetting it's recorded.
Yeah.
We start at the beginning
All
this
the
time.
time. Yeah. Because that's usually when we do our best stuff. So we think nobody's watching.
Didn't we hang up on him?
We did. We're like, hey, hang up. We'll call you back. Because we don't even know how to work the computer.
We're all just winging it. Even like my races, I'm just winging it.
It's good, man.
Making it up on the fly,